What's up, motherfuckers? We're back. Really good couple of videos yesterday. Really, really good. I was like, everything that I say, read. I felt like it read really, really well. And we were able to get down to the core of what we were saying while still keeping like a fun amount of chaos and light space for spontaneity and levity, both of which really make a message unique and impactful because it's honest, it's genuine, and unique. Yeah, it has that novelty value. And when you're putting things together, there's a unique emotional resonance of present moment awareness. Like it's something that you're excited about because it's exactly what you're thinking about instead of you like retaining something that you were excited about in the past. And even if you even if you still can evoke that inspiration or excitement, if it's like right there, right now, it's a powerful and powerfully unique type of inspiration and excitement. So you're gonna come back in. Why are you eating? I just fed this guy too. He's like, oh, I need your flesh. Arr, no, don't do it. Oh, son, Jesus, sweet guys. Yes, he is. And the fierceness. Likes to remind us he's a little lion. He's a little tiger. He's a great jungle cat in the body of a little tiny wobbly hero. Little kitten cat. Yeah, kitten cat. Okay, so he's going to come back and talk about vision boarding, visioning, and the law of attraction. What I mean by vision boarding and visioning is when you vision board, you're kind of like collecting images and things that you want for your life. You're saving them into a document, and it becomes a thought space where when you go to your document, you put a powerful intention. You put a point of attraction on those things that you want. Here, let's just chill over here. You down to chill, buddy? Yeah. And then when you vision something, you kind of just sit there in an active meditative state. And they're very complementary, meditation and envisioning. If you want to achieve anything in the entire universe that you want, as far as like the laws of attraction go, um, and there's more like complex technical levels to the law of attraction and like the secret, that everyone, that's a very like simplified version of the universal laws of attraction, based on the universal laws of attraction, to get it in the modern psyche. But I watched that way back in the day, and some things really made sense about it, and other things did not make sense about it. Some things made sense about it, like the idea that your thoughts influence your reality in some way. There's some ways that they explain that made a lot of sense to me, where it's like, yeah, if a situation happens, but you're in control of your reaction to that situation and you're in control of your point of focus. If there's like a whole bunch of cards in your hand, some of them negative, some of them positive, and it's on this spectrum that you have complete sovereignty over the way that you react to your situation and also the things that you focus on in that situation. There's no fucking doubt about that. And I felt like after I watched The Secret for the first time, for the next week after that, I was like, I'm only going to focus on things that make me happy. And when something happens, I'm going to react in the best possible way. Like out of all of those different reactions and things that I could notice about a thing, I'm going to play the card of positivity every time. And for just like about a solid week after that, I just was able to like focus on the positives, find the positives, and every single day was a good day. Yeah. Other things didn't make sense in the way that they explained it, the way they said you could have absolutely anything that you wanted. And I was like, what if every single person wants a mansion and a Ferrari? Does that like manifest itself in the way that, well, some people made a fucking like bacteria that like wipes out like, like 19/20ths of the population so that everyone can have a Ferrari and a mansion? Like if everyone did strong enough, like what? It's like there is not enough physical resources and manpower on the earth that everyone could have a mansion and a Ferrari. And It got me thinking about other things though. Like, what if your intention for that was something like, I want a beautiful, comfortable living space, and I want something that feels luxurious and awesome. And there's ways that you can achieve those things without, like the material production. Do you tell? Sure. Like, world-class education course, $1 billion in education in every smartphone, tailor-made to your interests and your skill sets. Oh my god, we could have that right the fuck now and multiply our education potential. We could multiply our pool of collective talent and innovation right now. And I'm advocating for it happening to and for people that can actually implement. But at the same time, I'm also advocating for global advocacy. If everyone in the world starts to vote for a thing at the same time, in their own unique, powerful ways, using their own vision and their own voice to their own communities to create a ripple effect that only they can create, then that change can take effect instantly. Some people say the whole like voting things into existence is a real shit show because a lot of people have rigged all of the decks in politics, and it's like they give you these two different sides of a thing, but it's not like either side is really the real change that we need. But you have a lot more creative potential than anyone gives themselves credit for. Like if we collectively like unionization is a good example of this kind of happening, where they were not giving people these options until people got together and said, we want and need these options, we're putting them on the table, right? With enough collective support that they made those things into one of the collective options that the superiors like implemented and made standardizing the system. And there's definitely a lot of evidence of things like check out the education system in Finland. The Finnish education system is fucking amazing. It's so good. It's like fluid. There's like a whole bunch of empty freeform space within the curriculum. It's gradeless. It doesn't have standardized tests, but when people get through the Finnish education system, they perform higher on like tests that gauge someone's retention and proficiency in all of these like base education systems like literature and maths and stuff. They still fucking kill it in all fields with this way that gives students more freedom, more sovereignty, more ability to move through it at their own pace, to be able to prioritize their talents and interests more. And there's no fucking question that this system works way better, like multiplicatively better than the fucking, I say it like that because it's not a word that you hear every day, but it is a word that's applicable to almost everything. Something can be additively better, where it's like that plus 5, or it can be multiplicatively better, where it's like that times 5, and that's huge. So it's a word that I use a lot, so it's just giving you a chance to like learn the word, man. And stuff like Jim Quick and Josh Waitzkin's Art of Learning. Jim Quick is a superstar in education that has a course on Mind Valley and a bunch of free courses where he tells his fucking story that he's made into just a streamlined TED Talk of innovation with a bunch of cute, like this phrase equals this or something. I don't have that many of his phrases memorized, but he has one of those, whatever you call it, where a bunch of letters each stand for a word and then it spells a thing. Sorry, I don't know what that's called. It's be fast, belief, exercise, fun, active, state, teach. And these are all fantastic learning things, where if you start to implement all of these things, like your belief in yourself, just thinking that you can do it, and a little bit of like doing affirmations, like your self-talk is the programs that the supercomputer of your brain runs, right? And you can choose what those programs are by reprogramming. It's not even hacking the brain, because you're not doing something that the brain isn't meant to do. You're not changing the base structure of the brain. You're finally using it for once. Yeah? You're base programming your brain to believe in yourself and to have confidence in your ability to learn, to retain things. The smallest amount of belief work makes the biggest difference. It does this universally in every single case. If you can talk yourself into something and get yourself your expectations, a positive expectation about yourself and what you want to achieve, you can achieve that thing multiplicatively better. Yeah, all of these things are multiplicative gains on retention. Yeah, like this dude is like, you can break learning down into some hard science stuff. Like Jim Quick is a memory, like an Olympic memory guy, like he can sit there and have people in the crowd randomly call out like numbers 100 digits long, in real time, improv 100 digits long. He's got at least videos of him doing this like 20 or 50 times, but he says that there are recorded instances of him doing this at least 100 times, and he's really on his memory like master game. Yeah, and there's ways you can build up memory. There's ways you can build up speed reading to read 5 or 10 times faster than the average. Yeah, there is super good ways to do that. Things like having no internal monologue, so your internal brain is like silence. Instead of like reading each word to yourself in your head, it's like silence while you articulate and comprehend entire blocks of words at once. Things like using your finger to move along, where each time your finger moves something, it's like putting it in your head, and your head's just working on comprehending like all of these things. So you can go like that and read at that speed. Yeah, man. And his retention is amazing too. Like not only can you read at that speed, but then he can retain any single part of the book and like articulate it back to you, or even summarize it down to base forms more than if you had just read the book. Crazy. Two things like memory and making a memory map. And when you make a memory map, he's just doing numbers there, but you can make a memory map of literally anything. This is something that I learned when I took a course, like a college level course from the Great Course series about what's fucking like neuroscience, the science of like brain chemistry, all from like scientific stuff where they take the brain apart and they scan different parts of the living active brain with like high technical things to look at all the different parts and the ways they interact and what we can learn about the brain and how to use the brain as effectively as possible through scientifically scanning the brain. Yeah, really cool course, but one of the things that I took up was making a memory map and building memory cues through your points of focus, where it wasn't like just like like a base physical scientific thing, but the way that you think and where you choose to put your focus actively changes your brain chemistry. It changes your brain's activation in different areas and guaranteedly gives you higher attention. Like creating a scenario map. What I mean by a scenario map is you like create a visualization of a place that you know really well, and you put different pieces of information around that place, and you imagine yourself like walking through it. So there is an association and a sequence of these things, and you like move through this space where you create like a narrative story in your mind, and each of these elements in the story tie one to the next, so it creates a sequence which the brain does really well. This leads to this, leads to this, and then you can attach different pieces of information onto that mental map and do like Olympic level memorization stuff with that. Crazy. Now I've gone off topic already. Sorry. It's really, really good though. Because when I did, watch The Secret, there were some things that made sense and some things that didn't quite make sense. Like that, you can have absolutely anything. And I'm like, what if everyone already wants the same things? You'd have to settle at least a little bit. The way that they were articulating it didn't make complete sense to me. And I felt like it would be healthy, at least to break it down to a general level where people didn't feel like they had to have a Ferrari and a mansion. But they were saying, you can have a Ferrari and a mansion by thinking about it. And I'm like, you might think that you want that because it's something that's incredibly desirable to think about. But imagine if you had a life of immaculate, energetic currency where you had amazing karma by only taking what you needed for an optimally happy life. Like a lot of people with excess amounts of wealth do not testify to having immaculate levels of happiness. They really don't. So taking some time to think about what are the actual things that make people happy instead of just thinking about what are those things that you think in your mind would make you happy. And it's not about giving up the pursuit of luxury or saying that's an entirely bad thing, but you should definitely gear into things that look like they're you know. Like there's evidence behind them that they will actually make you happy. When if you look at the people that have the things that you want to have, it's not about not wanting those things, but are those people actually happy? And if so, hell yeah. But no one with a whole bunch of wealth, like I don't think anyone has ever said like, just because I have a mansion and a Ferrari, that's why I'm happy. Like never is it more than like a 50% equation. And things like your relationship with your work, your relationship with your family, your relationship with your friends, and all these personal bonds and connections that takes no like physical material like time and effort to create these things, but it does create intense like emotional effort, like years of trust and courage and fun and shared moments of appreciation in the world to build these things. It's something that you build yourself. It's something that you can't buy in a store. You know, you can get actors, you know, who can like play, but that shit won't be the same. You know what I'm saying? So it got me thinking when I saw that, like, there's got to be a way everyone in the world can have an optimal level of happiness, and there's ways that we can create shared value. When I saw things like file sharing in the digital age, where, you know, even something like torrents, like pirating and torrenting things, where there'd be like courses and movies and stuff that you could download. And I was like, if everyone in the world had that, you know, because it's a $10 thing, it'd be an $80 billion fucking thing for everyone to digitally get this thing. But if we chose to just share it, you know, like if we were able to make those things available for free that created the highest value for everyone, that would be an $80 billion value that we could create with a production cost of absolute zero. It was having a page that hosts a download, which apparently is very, very easy to do, you know. They couldn't keep the pirate ninjas off the internet if they tried, yo. But torrenting isn't exactly the highest and best example of this, because there was times where it like hurt the creative landscape in certain ways. But I think YouTube is, and there's places where people can actively share content of an infinitely high value and impression, things like knowledge and information and emotional resonance, things that we strive for and to achieve and assign value to. You know, whether it's like movies or documentaries or courses that you can buy, having knowledge and good information and emotional resonance and content are all very valuable things. And you can create content with an infinitely high margin, any of those things, for free and share it to the world. And even as you make something for free like that, even just tracking the pennies to the dollar that is ad revenue, you can make multi-million-dollar content and share it with the whole world. And I think ad revenue is like, obviously, isn't the most effective way to go. What would be the most effective way to go? Well, considering that you use your ad revenue, which is still valuable, by the way, to these big companies that invest in them, sometimes I don't know how. Because it puts subliminally the image of the name of the thing in your mind, and people go for association, right? So when they see all of these 15 different names of a product, when they go to the place to buy the product, the one that has the association wins by default. So even if they don't do anything but that, it's still worth it for them in some way. I do know how advertising fucking works, but sometimes I still don't. Where I'm like, the association that they build isn't even positive. You know, you're just annoying people. Some people are more subliminally influenceable than me. Everyone is. But, you know, I'm like, with some ads, I'm like, this ad is not going to make me buy the thing. I'm going to say that I've got now a negative association for this because they didn't put enough effort into the ad. Other times it'll be good. And it'll be like, the ads for Old Spice have been more entertaining than not. And I've got a good fucking association with Old Spice. And when I go in for deodorant, because the ads on Old Spice were so much better than Axe and whatnot, I'm like, Old Spice. No doubt. Successful ass ads. Because that shit made me smile. You know, most of the time, I'm like, what the fuck you doing, Old Spice? This is weird and abstract and kind of relatable, but different enough to just be like fun. You know? And if you know that, I know a shit ton about advertising. Don't get me started. Like, I've read books about advertising, and some of it is super shady, but the idea is that it is effective, right? And it's entirely neutral how you use those things. If you can subliminally influence someone to a positive thing that is empowering for them, that puts the power back in their hands and creates something that's genuinely healthy and good for them, then you've been able to use advertising like the light side of the fucking force. You know what I mean? When if you're trying to get them to buy something that they don't need, that's like negative, right? Or trying to influence them in some kind of way that's unhealthy for them, that's negative. If you're just trying to buy them, to get them to buy a solid product that's just as good as anyone else's, that shit is neutral. Yeah, there's lots of sides to that equation. What's an advertising thing? Seth Godin, the guru of sales and marketing, Seth Godin. He's super, super good at his job. No question about it. One of the ideas, and this is when you're marketing literally anything, is the purple cow philosophy. That's what they call that shit, the purple cow, man. Why? Because we see cows every single day. Cows have become wallpaper. We drive past them while having a conversation. We don't notice there's cows there until a kid in the car says cows, right? But if you're driving past a farm and one of them cows is purple, you're going to stop and pull over and give that shit your attention, specifically because it is something that you know, but you're seeing it now in a new light, in a new color. And when you can tap into that, something that everyone is already really familiar with, but now you're presenting it in a new way that is striking and catches your attention, then you have done the most successful advertising thing. Everyone tries to do this shit. That's why all the ads that you see are 90% similar and 10% different, and they really try to catch you in that 10%. And 10% of the ads are able to do this successfully. Everyone else just trying. Yeah, that's not all he even said about it, but it's just a little brief summary. Something that's similar and known, and you've got an association with it already. You've got a relationship to cows, but something that gets you to see it in this new way, this new light, this new color. You check it out. You stop. You take pictures. You take a mental picture of this thing without even thinking of it. There's all fucking kinds of ways that you can do advertising stuff. And I thought advertising was so shifty and sinister so many times because all of my friends didn't even realize they were being subliminally influenced. They were like, "No, I'm not." And I'm like, "Yes, you are." Like they're doing all these things. They watch the ads on cable and I'd be like, "Can't we turn off the ads?" And they're like, "I kind of like the ads because they do all these things to make them familiar and to create a sense of stability and connection to the same old world turning in all the same ways while they subliminally influence the shit out of you, man." It's like, what? And they do it in all kinds of ways, from like big pharma to like politics to like, yeah, let's talk about something other than advertising, like envisioning the world that you want to create. You are the master creator. And that's what I think really got my goat about advertising, is they make you the consumer. You are the consumer. And that was the thing, right? You consume, and they build the products and they create the framework. You can't change it. It's up to you to pick. You sacrifice your time and energy to get enough money to go out into the world of consumption and buy enough things to give you enough happiness so you can fucking sustain, right? Sad, right? Yo, man, we are master creators. We are meant to experience this world dynamically and to choose dynamically what we want to create. Even if it's not like going out and making new projects and innovations, in some way to add your own personality to them. If you create, it's even by like the interactions that you have with your friends and family, the people in your life that matter to you. Yeah. Like, you are a creator being when you go out into the world. You're a creator being when you read a fucking book and you put it together in your mind for the first time. And you're a creator being when you experience the emotions of that book and it resounds in you and changes your heart and mind in some way. You're a creator when you think, when you dream. Like, give yourself your fucking power back. Yeah? For sure. And when you can tap into that, there's no limit to what you can create. I also read a wonderful series. Like, everyone should check out the 99U. Just one nine, another nine, and a lowercase u. Um, it's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful online series with all of these, like, the best information from the most successful, impactful CEOs and entrepreneurs. And it's built by Adobe. And Adobe's Creative Suite for channeling creative energy and changing the creative landscape, yo. The 99U curriculum is immaculate because instead of teachers who don't know that much about their field, they're made to articulate the textbooks and whatnot. Sometimes they don't even know the course that well or enjoy the space of teaching at all. You know, there's someone that it's like their job, you know, it's like a corporate job, but it's teaching these kids and they're just going through the fucking motions and putting up with bullshit as if that was the job. Yikes. Because teaching is the most powerful, sacred, amazing thing. It has the highest ripple effect. These people are going to go out there and they're going to take on the world. They're going to inherit the world. And they're going to pass on this legacy. And keeping their dreams alive and giving them passion and confidence and courage within the space of that classroom is like the most important thing in the world. And I don't like be attacking teachers like that, you know, because a lot of time they have every shit end of every stick and they're out there trying to keep it together on the ground level, dealing with these kids who all have all of this familial stress and, like, you know, they don't have the right education system. They're like, why the fuck does Finland be the only one with an effective education? Why don't we learn Jim Quick stuff? What? Without even knowing it, there is a subconscious rebellion to everything that isn't working in education, and it's not the fucking high school teachers that change that shit. I mean, they might be able to change that shit if they unionize, but it's not them that make that shit. You know, they didn't vote in the education system. They're just a small part of it, you know? They took the best move that they could at the time, and we're all kind of stuck in this situation. And goddamn advertising gets us all to give up our creative power and be consumers. Yeah? It's time to take the power back. Revolution of mind, of spirit. Come together. Unionize for a sovereign world of free thinking, creative beings that have the confidence that we can make the best system possible and use the resources and abilities available to us as effectively and cost effectively as possible. Rewrite the map, streamline the system, you know, take over. Yeah. Yeah. The thing about selectively sifting is what Esther Hicks would say. Selectively sifting and finding the positive aspects of the situation around you is absolutely huge. I was coming in to say something else, and that thing's really good. We've gone on for a little while, so we'll let the main focal point of this entire tangent be that, and that there is a education system, you know, massively, massively, massively. Is it okay if we say it one more time? Multiplicatively more effective, more engaging, more galvanizing. You know, it gives people their power, it gives them their sovereignty, it gives them a more fun and more joy and more stress relief and more space that they are the creator and the innovator of their lives, of their destiny. It's not like this cold, dead road that we have to deal with, you know, and you consume to make up for the soul crushing weight of having no creative input in your life. You know, no choice, no passion, no dreams. So you consume. You know, it's bad. And that doesn't have to be that way. There are ways that you can right now. You know, you don't have to like, oh, I want to learn better. So it's like this RPG grind, right? Where you just grind. And after like thousands of hours, you'll like get a tiny bit better at learning like that. There's skills like an RPG when you get a new piece of equipment where all of a sudden you're doing twice as much stuff. Yeah. Or like a new skill and you level it up. Yeah, I know. It's like changing your class or your strategy, right? Where you've been grinding, but then when you change your strategy, you can grind now the same grind 5 times effectively. because you're doing the right shit, right? It's a lock key type situation, and they haven't even told you about the locks to those keys that you are working that are already 100% proven to be effective. Yeah, but they're out there, and there are people that will tell you about them. I'm one of them. Yo. But yeah, if you just give yourself the power to your reaction, how do you react? You're in a situation, there's lots of things that you can't change, but your reaction and what you choose to say and do and focus on, and out of everything that happens during that day, what do you take with you? And you take with you a bunch of residual things and emotions, like it's automated. What if it doesn't have to be? What if 9 bad things happen that day, but one really good thing happened that day? And when you get back, you don't even have to say, well, it was mostly bad, but there was a little bit of light in that situation. Most people don't even do that. They just say that was a shit day, and they forget the good thing entirely, right? You don't have to be one of them. We don't. You could say, well, yeah, there was a lot of give and take, but this one thing that happened, this one thing lit me up all day. This is the thing that I'm going to choose to take with me and make my point of focus. So even if, a bunch of negative stuff happened to you that day, when you go back to talk to your girlfriend, you're not venting about that shit. Yeah? You're not hitting her with a wall of distress because you got victimized in all these ways, so you don't have the sovereignty to choose what you're going to say because a bunch of bad stuff happened to you that day. You say, no, I fucking do. Yeah, and you bring that magical miracle thing that happened to her, and she's like, oh my God, you're fucking awesome. Because, that was probably your intention when you went in and started to talk and stuff. It wasn't to vent a bunch of stress about your day. It was to, clear that shit and say something positive and get a positive emotional reaction, and then you're just fucking chilling. We don't have to vent at all because you already defragmented your system. You're in control and power of yourself. You're fucking awesome. Yeah? So yeah, and you can even be like, it just reminded me that even when a bunch of bad things happen to you and you feel like life's out of your control, there's still miracles. There's still these little moments. There's good things, and we have the power to do that, and that's so cool. And then she'll be like, you're so cool. Yeah? And you've created not only a positive moment, but a positive ripple effect for her, so she can take more of that, and you can share those positive things together. I think some people might be like, but we get off on venting stress. And I'd be like, you don't know how little you get off on venting stress until you've tried not to. Sure, that shit's addictive. Yeah, I'm sure you can feel vindicated. But if you actually had a ghost image of what your life would look like and how your life would feel if you gave up on venting stress and put your focus 90 to 100% on what you do want to experience and create, and gave yourself the power of the creator to do that, and saw your happiness, y'all wouldn't be venting no stress no more. You wouldn't do that shit. It might be a tiny bit vindicated, but try the comparison of living your dreams. Yeah? And celebrating and appreciating the people around you. Yeah? That shit, throw someone a compliment. Genuine and unique and good, just if you can't think of anything, tell someone their hair looks nice. Girls love that shit. Yeah, every girl. I have never said your hair looks nice and not gotten a nice smile, because everyone likes to look nice, man. And usually they fucking do. They brush that shit and wash that shit and comb it and play with it and have spent years trying to get it to look exactly right. Yeah? Everyone deserves that shit. So yeah, just take it with a grain of salt too, because the whole thing's about you and your power. And if you take something that was useful to you, that'd be wonderful. Re-articulate it in your own way and give you the ability of I learned all this shit. You can go out there and learn things. Yeah, do it. And again, things in the secret didn't exactly resonate with me, but other things did. And instead of saying it was a mixed fucking bag, I said some of those things really resonated with me and took them with me. Other things I said, there's got to be a reason it didn't, and I tried to figure out what that was and make it better. I didn't give up my problem solving ability there, and I think that I've been able to find ways that, we can increase the universal quality of life so high, so frequently, that everyone won't be wanting a mansion, a Ferrari to feel happy. And if you really had your heart set on that, I'm sure you could get it. because there wouldn't be so many people wanting those things that, because they'd all be happy and shit, you know? Like, to put more people's paradigms on what they really want and away from consumerism, then like there's enough resource and surplus and manpower in the world that our world could be straight up utopian. How? The global military conflict budget put into progress. It is that, man. It's the UN's hunger zero at 1.5 to 10% of the global military budget. There's no more starving kids anywhere in the world. Everyone is sustainably fed. With the other with the other 98.5 to 90% of the budget, we can terraform a utopian Earth with these super machines. The way if we actually put the military budget into making like super tractors and stuff that we could use to make global parks with all of our unused like forest space and farmland in ways that were completely eco-friendly and sustainable, like we could do that shit. Yo. And especially if you also had like the highest education possible, where it's like, yeah, we have construction teams, but they don't have the education to take on the like massive construction projects. Well, now they do. They can put in a couple months of learning that shit and learning it together, and then they have the ability to take one of these world-class blueprints to any community in the world, Yeah, planet Earth starts to look fucking awesome. For sure. Don't ever give up. Don't ever give up. And keep adding your own unique and uniquely valuable flavor into the world, be it your joy. If you bring your joy to the table, you are creating an inspiring and stress relieving presence in every single situation and for every single person that you touch. Don't have to be no bigger than that, and you're making the world a better place. Keep on being you. I'm sending you my love and light. Yo!